Hey y'all, it's Frank. Hey y'all, this is Latte with the Latte Wellness Group. I'm here with the marketing team. We have Frankie, Mike, and Brianna, and today we're just going to be talking about um, Britain's new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, right? And so it's a Bloomberg article, and essentially the title, here it's going to be, is your relationship going to last until till Christmas, right? Maybe that's the new title. Is your relationship going to last till Christmas, right? Um, let me write. So essentially, as you all may know, Britain has a new prime minister, Rishi Sunak, right? And the interesting thing is, he is their third prime minister in 7 weeks, and that might be kind of funny. But some of you all have had three partners within the last 7 weeks as well. And so what we're doing right now, we're just trying to compare your relationship to what's happening in Britain right now, right? And so essentially here, what people are saying and why Rishi Sunak, why he is so popular and why they think he's a knight in shining armor is they think that he's going to undo the damage that has been done from the past recent weeks. Just like when you go into a relationship, you think that this new person is going to be able to undo, or this new person, I guess you're hoping that this new person will undo the damage that your previous relationships did, right? Is that true? Or am I wrong? Frankie?
That's true. That's the whole point.
mm, mm. So your relationship, just like the UK, you're hoping for greener pastures, right? You're hoping for greener pastures, and hopefully this relationship is going to work out.
Yeah,
All right.
correct.
So as we mentioned, this is Britain's third leader in 7 weeks, and this is their first non-white prime minister. Question poses: is it time for you to change the pool, your dating preferences, or the people that you typically date? I mean, things have gotten really, really bad in Britain right now. They're going to non-white prime ministers. Is it time for you? Is that even taboo? Or am I going to get the backlash? By saying this, we're just comparing. We are just comparing what's happening. We're just doing a comparison of maybe your possible relationship to what's happening in the UK. So, is it time to change your preferences, or is it time to change the type of people that you're dating? Any comments on that from the team?
I think it definitely, after you go through several failed relationships, you do kind of start wondering, are all these boxes that I'm trying to check off when it comes to finding a partner, could they be changed in some way?
Mm.
Has that been what has been given me? Has going by that as a guide been the problem? Is that what's been giving me, producing those incompatible partners?
Mm. So one of
Or is it possibly the issue is you?
yeah. Well, a lot of people, that's what say, was like, hey, look, you're the constant. You are the constant in this, so is it possible? But see, if you look at it like Britain, and I know, running up, we're just making this skit, we're just making this for fun, because it's interesting. But if you look at it like a country, no one ever says the problem's the country.
Yeah,
The problem.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. But if we're talking about relationship, it's always the two sides of the coin. So there's a possibility that the issue is with that person, why the relationship won't last long.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Um. So here one of our points, and let me write this point down so we can get the point here. So the first point is, is it time to try something new? Something new that is different from what you have been doing. Outside of your preferences. Okay? All right. And then what they said was, have you sat down and analyzed what went wrong in your previous relationships? Right? This Bloomberg article here, that says that the former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, he bungled and disassembled his way through a series of self-inflicted scandals. And he alienated most of the country. So one of the problems that was wrong with the prime ministers that they started off with in the beginning of the year was he self-inflicted scandals, right? I guess he had like a party during COVID, then he lied about it, and then he did all of those things. Do you find yourself, is your new partner self-inflicting, are they causing self-inflicting wounds? Right? Are they alienating you from their friends? Are they doing this? Or are you also causing yourself self-inflicted wounds? Right? Thoughts about that from the panel?
So by that you mean like kind of like self-sabotage?
Exactly.
Oh, definitely. I think a lot of people, especially in relationships, tend to do that. If they feel like they might not be good enough for that person, or some sort of trauma that they have that causes them to just sabotage it all.
Self-sabotaging. So, go ahead.
I'm also thinking that there's a possibility that he's not aware of his personal preferences. Because there are, for example, people think that what they're doing is good for their partners, but at the end of the day, it's the other way around. We always think of we always think for the betterment of that person or for the betterment of the partnership, but have we considered the uh, the things that your partner really need or really wants, or if it's just a need or if it's a want? Because those are the things that I'm looking at, especially if you have a relationship that just lasted for 7 weeks. Maybe there's really something wrong with you. Why? I know. It's really that's the only thing that I can think of, right? If we're talking about relationship lasting for 7 weeks, unless if that person is really a playboy or a playgirl.
But here's the thing, though. Yes and no. I guess it depends. Because think about it, right? The counter argument to there's something wrong with me is there was something wrong with these folks. It's kind of like Britain's prime minister. Like, nobody goes into relationships like, I want to date the worst guy. I want to date the worst woman. What was wrong with Boris Johnson? The guy was like lying. He was doing all types of stuff. He was alienating the party. He was just saying something. They're saying that he was just doing. I don't really know what's happening, but they were saying that he was self-sabotaging himself. And the problem is, like, when you find yourself dating somebody who self-sabotages a situation, like if you're supposed to go do something and they're lying about it, or the biggest thing was the biggest thing with Boris Johnson was a double standard, right? So don't date somebody with a double standard, meaning that he told the UK country not to have parties or not to have gatherings, and then he went out and had gatherings. And so, like, when you find yourself dating a liar, or when you find yourself that has a double standard, they say something for them. There's one standard for them, but for everybody else, hey, it's such and such. Then you're going to find yourself in that situation.
I think a lot of times, when you first get with someone, and it's the same thing as with a leader, it really takes time for their true colors and their true personality to show itself. So, at the beginning, for example, in political sense, they make all these campaign promises, so to speak. And you vote for them thinking that they're going to achieve all those things that they talked about. And then they get in there and their behavior's poor. They might be lying like Boris was. They might not achieve any of the things that they campaigned on. The same thing as with the relationship. You get into that relationship, this person makes themselves out to be someone that they're not. And it won't show itself till some time passes by. And then you realize, oh, I might have misjudged this. This person really might not be the one for me. I don't really agree with how he's lying or whatever he's doing, things like that.
And I would almost say that what people said was the toughest part about this situation is that they applaud the UK, the UK Parliament, because they said the good thing about the UK is when they see things going wrong, they'll tell you, look, you gotta go. You gotta go in a heartbeat. They're gonna kick you out. They're not sticking around for that nonsense anymore. The problem in our relationship is, especially if we're on our second person within, a matter of weeks, because of the fact that we're going to feel judged and we're going to feel criticized, we tend to stay in it a little bit longer than we should.
That also raises the question of, should you give the person more time? Do they need more time to turn around, or do you just tell them to go once things go south? Sometimes you have to actually give a person time to turn around. And I feel like Liz Truss didn't have a lot of time to turn around the economy. But then, it's a country. They have to feed people. They have to take care of people. So, yeah, she had to go. So, I think there's a dilemma of, am I wasting time or am I waiting for something better? Yeah, so I think that's the dilemma too.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. All right. All right. Let's finish reading the article here. And it's a Bloomberg article. All right. And they said about Liz Truss, right? Her downfall was that she announced a reckless new tax and spend program that brought the financial system to a collapse. So basically, she just wanted to spend all the money. She just wanted to spend all the money recklessly, cut taxes, spend the money, run up debt. And the UK and the UK and people and folks in the UK, they weren't having it. Your new relationship, do they see you as a piggy bank? Right? Do they want to come in there, spend all your money? Hey, they see that maybe you got a little bit of change. You got a little bit of cheddar, you got a little bit of things. Do they want to come in there and then spend? So when you find yourself dating somebody like that, it's time to let them go. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think gotta let them go too, because money is a little touchy issue. So yeah, there are people like that, people who have no sense of let's save that, or yeah. So I think money is a touchy issue, and yeah, somebody like that has to let go.
Okay. Thoughts?
Yep, I definitely agree. And I feel like that kind of thing you probably notice early on, and you would definitely give them the boot right away, which probably is why they're on their seventh um, prime
Yeah,
minister.
third, third, third. But like I said, but the problem is, think about, so the psychology of it is this: when you just broke up with somebody and then you now you're in it. There's two ways it can go, right? One person has a point of view of, I'm not dealing with any nonsense anymore. The first sign of nonsense, I'm out. Another person can be like, another if you're not too careful and you care about the opinions of others, and you care of being judged, and you fear you're going to be judged by others, you're going to remain in a bad situation longer than you should. There's some of us here that we are in a bad situation. You know it's a bad situation. You should have left the situation a long time ago. You should have been left the situation.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
still in. And so now the question is, this is so relevant. This thing is so relevant to everyday life. It's crazy.
I think it definitely you gotta it comes down to personal responsibility too. You gotta be like responsible for yourself. And in the UK they have to be responsible for their country, and you have to make sure you're putting somebody there that will put their best foot forward, and will always try to do the best and be the best leader for that country. And it's the same thing in a relationship. You have to have that personal responsibility to know when someone's not good for you, and you know get out while you can, as soon as you can.
Yeah. And I think it's also got to do with culture and the people around you. So with the UK, they're able to say, "Hey, you're not performing, get out." But in Ghana, our economy is crashing down. The dollar is rising up every day. Our currency is against the dollar, and it's crashing every day. There's increase in prices. You can buy something for, let's say, $2 today. You go tomorrow and it's $3, and we can't say anything about it because that's how it's been for a long time. So in relationships, that's what the person has seen around them. People are in abusive relationship. They don't want to get out. Um, their parents were in the same relationships. Their grandparents were in the same relationship. And what they say is that's how it is. I think that also has an effect on people not being able to get out at the right time.
Yeah, I agree. It's like you don't always know better.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm, that's interesting.
yeah,
That's very, very interesting. Like you said, it's like when you look at it like countries, you're right. In Ghana, the economy, well, they're not stacking anybody.
yeah, yeah,
Nobody's
yeah.
losing their job.
Exactly.
So now what we have to say is, do we have to make sure that when we have a standard, and when our standards not being met, what do we do when our standards not being met? And too oftentimes in relationships, we are conceding, or we're giving people more time than they should.
Yeah. So I also think it comes down to mentorship and getting help. Sometimes you just have to get help. You actually have to get help, but sometimes you can't do it on your own. You actually can't do it on your own. So I think sometimes you have to look for outside help, talk to someone. Yeah, that's what I think too.
But here's the problem, right? And so here's another thing that happened. Go ahead, Mike. You have something to say?
Well, for me, I give chances maybe for one twice. If you do it twice, the second time, then I think it's time for you to go. If
Mm.
it happened the first time, well, I may consider, but if it's happening often, then it's really not working.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Mike. All right. So Mike takes more of the UK approach. So we had different approaches. So we have a UK approach and you have the Ghana approach. Right? The UK, they're not that nonsense. They're not doing any nonsense. They're not dealing with any nonsense. They're not dealing with any nonsense right now. And what's it called? And yeah. So they're not dealing with any nonsense. But the Ghana seems like they deal with all nonsense all day.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the reason behind that, it could have been uh the people in Ghana, they don't express that much. Not like here
Yeah.
in the Philippines. If there's really something wrong, they go to the street, then they express their dissent.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, the Ghanaian mindset is I'm working to get my money and then probably travel abroad or get my money and live in peace. No one's really trying to go outside on the streets and protest or anything. I mean, everybody wants peace. That's why they say Ghana is a peaceful country. So nobody is really trying to get out of their comfort zone to go and protest or anything. I mean, they are suffering, but they'll take it. Ghanaians just take it. They take it and take it and take it. They're not trying to protest.
But
Mm.
until when, right? That's the question there. Until when? Until the coffers of the government is exhausted?
Exactly. I was discussing this with a friend, so I was like, also, when are Ghanaians going to keep taking it? Because when somebody keeps taking bullshit and keeps taking bullshit, they explode and it becomes very brutal. So I think if repercussions come, it's going to be chaotic. That's what I think. That's when somebody suffers in a relationship for a long time, and when they finally respond, they go psychotic. Yeah.
Mm. All right, I think you're right. Okay. All right. So let's continue on the thing. So she was trying to bring down the financial system, and so here and here's what they say about Sunak, right? Britain's new prime minister. They said that he is pragmatic and competent, right? Basically,
Yes.
they're saying that these virtues they've been absent from British government.
Well, I like his approach if he's going to be pragmatic, because that's what we really need to have as a leader. He needs to be realistic, not like the other presidents who just talk around, and once they're on the podium, he doesn't know if he's still talking or shaking hands with other people, but it's just a ghost. I'm sorry, but it's it's like Biden. So we need to have a president who's really realistic when it comes to dealing with situations.
So mind you, the article says he is seen. I mean, it's not proven. He is seen as pragmatic. I mean, he hasn't had the chance to prove himself. He could be out in about the next week or next 2 weeks. So yeah,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh yeah, he's
yeah.
seen the pragmatic. Okay, all right.
So is it important then when you just got out of a relationship, is it important to identify those values or those characteristics that mean most to you and what you think would bring the most change? So for their case, it was pragmatic and the other thing they said.
Competent.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If we're going to look at Rushi, I think he worked with the previous prime minister, so they know how he works. Boris Johnson, he's been in the position for not just the last 7 weeks, though, longer than that. But was there progress in the UK? Did were they able to eradicate the problems that the commoners are really asking for solution, like inflation, job opportunity, um, those kind of factors that's really important to common people. Because if we're talking about inflation, we understand that it's not just in the United Kingdom. Everyone is affected of the inflation because of the Federal Reserve increased how many basis points? 300 in the last 7 months just for this year. So all countries are really affected of the interest rates that the Federal Reserve did. So that unless of course if you have a background in economics, people will understand. But some people doesn't have backgrounds in economics, so it will really take a while for them to capture and absorb.
The article also said that during the race, when Liz Truss was running for prime minister, Sunak, Rishi, he
Mm.
criticized, right? He criticized her plan. Her basic plan was to say, I'm going to cut taxes and raise public spending. He criticized that would be, that because of the rampant inflation, it would destabilize the country's finances, right? So he was a big critic of her. The article is saying that he wasn't expecting to be proved, right so quickly. So meaning that when you are dating someone and you put them around your peers, are you listening to the criticism of your peers? When do you listen to their criticism and when do you not listen to their criticism?
The problem with the leadership, it's really up to the leadership if they're going to follow the advice of his consultants, maybe thorough
Let's
investigation.
go back to the relationship. Let's put on
Yeah,
the relationship.
the same thing with the relationship. So you may not listen to your friends, or you may listen to your friends. But once you're blinded, maybe because you're too in love, that's one reason why you don't your rationality is clouded. Because what matters for you is you're happy with that person. That's why you keep doing the same thing, doing the same wrongdoing, accepting that maybe he'll change someday. There's hope. But once hope is lost, that's the time that you need to move forward. That's what happened with, if we're going to relate it with the UK Premiership, that's what people is looking at, hope.
So I guess it's also knowing here when, having the wisdom to know when to listen to the criticism of others. Right? If it's and I would say that the biggest thing was he was proven to be right. Right? So when you hear a comment and they proved and what they said, their negative thing proves to be true, and you're seeing that reality of that, are you going to continue to ignore that reality, or are you going to try to make your own reality from it?
It will really take a while for a person to to realize that the criticism of his friends are true or not, especially if you're deeply in love with that person, Frank. You know what I mean? You've been to that stage that no matter what your friends tells you, you just go with the flow, enjoy what's happening. And if it's really not working, okay, I think it's time for me to stop. Maybe my friends is really correct.
People hate being wrong, so they in the beginning they may just be in love, but then when people point out what could go wrong, they may know it's true, but then because they are not willing to accept that that's true, they don't want to look like they're wrong. They'll go ahead until it's too late before they get out.
Hey, yeah, but I mean, well, essentially what the guy's saying is with this new prime minister. So essentially, the reason why they're trying to kick him out, or the reason why they had to kick out the other ones quickly, is because for them they were trying to maintain their majority in parliament. Right, their party's called the Tories, and when Boris Johnson first got in there, they had like control of, I believe, what was it, like 80% or so, something like that. They had a good you know they had a good
Presentation.
yeah. Oh man, I've even lost my I even lost the article here. Yeah, and so and it was in their benefit. It was actually in their benefit to make sure that, hey, look, things are going, because we gotta preserve our majority here, right? And so I think that in a sense of like, in relating this back to dating, is like, what is your, think about the goal that you want to get to, right? Is your current partner, whatever goal that you have in mind, are they helping you reach that goal, or are they getting you further away from that goal? Right? The Tories' goal was to remain in control of Parliament, and when they looked at it, hey, these folks were not going to help us remain in control of Parliament. Hey, you got to go, boss. Quick, no hard feelings. You got to go. And so I know that you can't run a relationship like you run a country.
Yeah.
But there are certain lessons. But what I can say is there are certain lessons that you can get from this, good and bad.
Yeah.
Because think about it, I mean, any thoughts on that?
Well, dating is, for me, it requires um more for me, it really requires a lot of background checks just to be safe when it comes to relationship. Need to know the person more before going into conclusion or before diving into a relationship, just to be safe, because you always need to guard your heart, not just your heart, but also your finances too, because as time passes by, that will go along. So that's just for me.
In summary, here's our key points, and I don't know, maybe we can make a TikTok from this. How would you know if your relationship's gonna last until Christmas? We again we compared Rishi Sunak here, the new UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and why he was the UK Prime Minister. So essentially, in the UK, they wanted something. They wanted someone out there current preferences. That is the first Prime Minister of color. Also, I believe the first Hindi Prime Minister as well. And so they wanted somebody different. They also didn't like the qualities of their old prime ministers, right? Boris Johnson, he was self-sabotaging. He had a double standard. He told people not to party during COVID while he was partying during COVID. And then the biggest thing about Liz Truss that they didn't like was the fact that her spending. She wanted to lower taxes and increase public spending, which on top of inflation would just cripple the UK economy. And Sunak and Rishi Sunak, he was actually the guy that was criticizing her and saying, "Hey, look, your approach is not the good approach here." And so he was like a naysayer, and at the end it was stated that he was proven right, but he was proven right very, very, very quickly. So if you're in a relationship and people are criticizing your partner, or you have thoughts, and whatever you're criticizing them about, or whatever's going wrong, you see the evidence, and you've gone through this over and over again, sometimes it may be best not to waste your time. Sometimes, hey, it may be best not to waste your time, and then hey, if you don't waste your time, then you can move on, or you can continue to give them time. But the key is to have certain values what is the values of your partner, and do those values align with your values, and what are the goals of the relationship? Are you all headed towards the same goal? Right, the UK Parliament, the Tories in Parliament, they wanted to maintain control of Parliament. That was their goal. So they actually rejected all of these the prime ministers quickly because it wasn't helping them reach their goal. Are we in a relationship that we're not? Maybe our goal is marriage, and we're seeing that we see within the first month that this person is not marriage material, or we're trying to build financial wealth and they're just spending like crazy and things of that nature. If your partner is not helping you reach your financial goals, they may not last until Christmas. We'll see if this new UK Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, lasts until Christmas. With that, thank you all. God bless.